Good afternoon, everyone. I am Laura Dunn. I am the IDA Compliance Manager for the Federal Programs and Oversight team. We'll go ahead and get started on, I know the topic that everyone has been dying to hear my presentation about IEP monitoring. I am very excited about this topic. This is the bulk of my work, and it's ever evolving, and I think it is evolving into something that's really great, and I think our results are showing it. And I have to give shout out to all the LEAs for their hard work, because the percentage of noncompliance is definitely on a downward trend. So we are seeing a lot of improvement, and I just have to say kudos to you all. So today we're going to look at FY25 IEP monitoring. As you have heard in the previous ones, these are the three pillars. I will not spend a lot of time on those as we have been repeating them. You're probably all aware of them by now. Today we're going to look at an overview of IEP monitoring. We're going to take a closer look at the protocol, some tips, the roles and responsibilities of the LEA admin, specifically submitting the cohort and corrective actions. Wave assignments. LEAs will be assigned to one of 4 waves throughout this year, 2024-25. The number of files reviewed in each LEA will be based on the IEP monitoring risk analysis data, which was taken from last year, 23-24. Notification of LEA wave assignments and number of files to be reviewed will be released soon, and it will be sent to the IDA director shown in ePlan contacts. So if you are new, please make sure that the contact list in ePlan has been updated. Timeline. It has not changed, but real quickly, for those of us who are new, monitoring cohort will be created and released to all LEAs in a wave on the date that you are sent in your notification. Once the cohorts have been released, you will have 10 days. And in that time, the LEA monitor will pull files, upload documentation. They will review documentation and answer a series of questions. The LEA administrator will then go behind them. They will also review, answer a series of questions, and then you will submit it to the SEA. And that will be within the 10-day window. Once it is submitted to the SEA, it takes us approximately 50 or more days to review everything. Once all of the wave cohort, the districts within that wave have been reviewed, and then you'll receive a notification and reports will be released. The corrective action process will begin at that time, and you'll have 20 days, business days, to complete that. So what are the roles? There's 4 levels of IEP monitoring, and there is a role basically representing each level. So the first level is the LEA monitor. That can be a teacher, school psychologist, SLP. It could be a special ed secretary, a case manager. It is assigned by the LEA. So the LEA administrator, or in most cases the IDA director, assigns LEA monitors. And these folks are the very first level of monitoring. They're the ones that pull the documentation that is needed. They upload it. Again, they review and they answer a set of questions. It is then submitted to the administrator, who is usually an IDA director or a SPED supervisor. They then go through everything that the LEA monitor has done, review, make sure it is correct. And then it is submitted to the SEA monitor, which at this time, we are a very small but mighty team. Stan Cook and Latrice Watson will be doing that 3rd level of review. They will then submit it to me. And again, I will then review everything. And at that point, we will be issuing reports. Required documents. Well, what will you be uploading and what will we be looking at? Current IEP. We will ask for invitation, prior written notice, transition assessments if applicable, signature pages. Every student will have either an initial or reevaluation section. We'll ask for, again, invitations, prior written notices, general education and special education observations, reeval summary reports, signature pages. And then in terms of eligibility, we look at invitations, prior written notices, and signature pages. How can you mitigate risk? One way is to keep in mind that the initial review is exactly what it sounds like. It is a review phase. So it is designed to identify areas of compliance or non-compliance before submitting it for the SEA review. It is not a time to try to reconvene meetings or fix errors that you find. This is the time that you basically own it and say, yep, this is not correct, and gather that data so that moving forward, you can make those corrective actions, and overall, you will be demonstrating to the SEA that you can identify your own errors and that you're aware of it and that you're moving forward. As I said previously when I presented, we find that if as an LEA you are very adept at addressing your self-identified errors, then your overall level of compliance seems to be higher. The data that you gather when your initial review period should be used in conjunction with your IEP monitoring results review report. That will help you develop staff training, professional development, and that will then guide all of your corrective actions. So the protocol. The IEP Monitoring Protocol version 1 is now available. It can be found in TN Pulse in the resource library under the TDOE IEP Monitoring Tools. It can also be found in ePlan, TDOE Resources, 2024-25, and FY25 IEP Monitoring. Version 1 will be applicable until the requirements for the IEP transition plan under the new state board rule, and I will not read you that number, go into effect, and that day is October 16th, 2024. What that means for you as an LEA, all IEPs selected for IEP monitoring in waves 1 and 2, we will monitor with version 1. Version 2 will be applicable once requirements for the IEP transition plan goes into effect. So version 2 will be available and will be applicable after October 16th, 2024. All IEPs selected for IEP monitoring in waves 3 and 4 will be monitored with either version 1 or version 2 based on the start date of the IEP. So to try to simplify it a little bit, because it gets a little confusing, all IEPs selected for IEP monitoring in waves 3 and 4 will be monitored with either version 1 or version 2. If the IEP start date is before October 16th, 2024, or when the new rule goes into effect, we will use version 1 to monitor that selected IEP. If the IEP start date is after October 16th, then version 2 will be used to monitor a selected IEP. So the protocol. The FY25 IEP monitoring protocol will be used to determine compliance of the IEP files selected at both the LEA and SEA levels of review. So what you see in the protocol is what we are using also to review. It will mirror what's in the platform. And so it can be used by the LEA and it can be used by the SEA. So even if you are in wave 4, if you want to take the protocol and begin using it to look at your files currently, internally, that's fine, because that is our guide. In order to determine compliance, LEAs must upload all documentation identified within the protocol into the IEP monitoring platform for review. Documents not uploaded to the monitoring platform or documents that are blank or are missing signatures will be considered non-compliant. That is why it is especially important that you as an LEA administrator do your due diligence for that level 2. Click on every single document that has been uploaded by your LEA monitors. Make sure that the document they uploaded is complete. It has signatures. Make sure there is a document there. Make sure it's the right document. Because once it gets to us, once it is submitted, then you can't go back and change it. And if it's not there, it is considered non-compliant. The narrative for each category found under the response criteria gives information allowing clarification for each indicator. So as you look at the protocol under the narrative, that verbiage, again, is exactly what will be in the platform, and that will tell you specifically what we were looking for. Trends we found from FY24. Adverse impact statements, they did not address all eligibility categories. A lot of times they were not specific in how the student was affected. Invitations, they were either missing the date it was actually sent or the meeting date. And if it has to contain both dates. Otherwise, we cannot verify the 10-day notice. In reevaluation summary reports, we were missing a lot of times formative and summative assessment data. Remember, that data is what the team reviews to make their determination. So if it is data presented to the team, then it will go on your reeval summary report. And it needs to be both formative and summative data. The IEP monitoring protocol, it is basically the same. You will see in the IEP area that there has been one indicator added, and it is for a pre-vocational checklist, which can either be a separate document or it can be, the information can be contained in the IEP. So tips for monitoring. Double check to make sure each indicator has a response. Link or upload only the document applicable to that indicator. If you upload the entire student file for each indicator, it makes it very difficult for both the LEA and the SEA to determine if it is accurate. Be as accurate as possible with responses based on the evidence the LEA monitor provided in the platform. If the invitation that was uploaded by the LEA monitor did not have a 10-day notice, then you should mark no, it is non-compliant. As an LEA administrator, you will then go in and verify that. And if you see that no, it did not have a 10-day notice, you will agree, you will mark no, and it will be considered non-compliant. Don't mark yes, and because when we review it, we will say, well, why could they not identify that there was not a 10-day notice? Okay, so that is the area where you are self-identifying. Yes, we recognize there was not a 10-day notice. If the platform does not match the student file, contact the IDA compliance manager, Laura Dunn, that's me, before beginning the monitoring process. When files are pulled, sometimes the students are out of state transfers, it does not pull correctly. Sometimes for reasons we don't understand, it does not pull correctly. So if your expectation is that the student should be showing as an initial evaluation and it's showing as a reevaluation, contact me. If the student is in high school and it's not showing any areas of transition, contact me. and I will help and I will troubleshoot and we will get it figured out. As the designated LEA admin, ensure that you are clicking on and viewing each uploaded document before submitting for SEA review. So many times we see the wrong document uploaded, we see documents that are blank. And along with responding to each indicator, also make sure you're checking each document. Remember that as the third and fourth level reviewers, we are strangers. So you have to apply the stranger test to what you are providing to us. The student documentation has to be viewed through the lens of a stranger. Compliance decision-making is based on each required document and the information contained within that document individually and not cumulatively. We cannot go and find additional documentation. We cannot go and find that document that has been signed. We have to look at what has been provided to us only. And remember, we are a stranger. We don't know the child. And so we don't know, oh, well, this, and this happened right before the meeting. So remember, we are strangers. No inference can be made from the information and no prior knowledge of the student or circumstances is available. So we truly do not know. Change in verbiage on reevaluation. On R7, which is on the platform, this only applies to the platform. Due to character limits within the IEP monitoring platform, the determination choices will not be listed, but will refer the user to indicator R5 for the 4 possible team decisions determinations. The prior written notice must document the team decision and determination and be dated within 10 days of the meeting. So this is what you will see on the protocol. So the protocol will, in this area, it will have the prior written notice was provided and specified one of these choices. It gives you the 5 choices. And then it goes on to specify what the prior written notice needs and what we're looking for. This is what you will see on the actual platform. Again, character limits. Just the prior written notice was provided and specified. One of the determination choices listed in item R5. If an evaluation is needed, documentation verifies, and it goes on to explain the prior written notice. So the only difference is we did not have room to list the 5 determination choices. They are listed in R5, but not in R7. So, accessing the IEP monitoring platform. So notifications will be sent to each LEA with wave assignments and dates of cohort release. The IEP monitoring platform in TN Pulse will not be available until the cohort release for each assigned wave. Those of you who are new, unfortunately, last year's monitoring was closed, and you were not showing as the IDA director at that time. So it will not be available to you until the wave that you're assigned to opens. Now, if you would like to see a copy of the report from last year, please contact me. My email will be in this presentation, but please contact me and I can get you a copy of it. That is not a problem, but you cannot go in and access the platform actually until your cohort is generated and your wave opens. So accessing the platform. Once your wave opens, you will go to the main menu at the top. You will click on Compliance Monitor. You will have to log into TN Pulse, and this will be on the home page. Sometimes it will say Admin School System drop down, and you can access it from there. That will lead you to your assigned cohort, which will look something like this. There will be a list of student names. That will have their state ID. And then here is where the monitors will be assigned. So once you have your cohort, how do you change your user roles or how do you assign LEA monitors? So the LEA administrator role is set by TN Pulse, the vendor. Okay. Do not attempt to alter or change your role, including adding you as a monitor. So once you are set as the LEA admin, and that usually is the IDA director, that opens all the roles for you. So you have access to all the roles. Okay, so don't try to change your access or change your role. If you need to, for some reason, assign it to someone else for a period of time, you're getting ready to retire, you're not going to be around when the platform opens, please email me. We can have a conversation and we can work with the vendor to get that assignment changed. So the LEA administrator is responsible for the assignment of an LEA monitor for each student in the cohort. The LEA administrator, you may change LEA monitor assignments. If you change the assignment, make sure that you are clicking update and save after any changes made. Every student in the cohort must have an LEA monitor assigned before the details page can be accessed. So the pencil icon that gives you your details page, it will not show up or not appear until every student has an LEA monitor assigned. And if you have say you have a new teacher that you would like to make an LEA monitor, or you have a teacher that has moved into a different role and you would like them to participate as an LEA monitor. It is very easy to do. Make sure that the person is listed as part of the child's team. And then the second thing that must be met is they must be assigned the role in Pulse. So all you will do is you will type in the person you're wanting to add that role to. You will type in their last name, first name, and you will click on View User. It will bring up their profile. You'll scroll down. It's about midway to the User Compliance Monitoring role. There will be a drop-down menu, and you will just assign them as LEA Monitor. Please do not assign them as IDA Director. That will not give them the access that you are wanting. So just assign them as an LEA Monitor. Once that is done, you will need to go to the bottom of the page. You'll need to click Save. Then when you go over to your cohort list, you will see drop downs have appeared. When you click the drop down, it will give you a list of names that you can choose from to add as a monitor for that student. And you will just choose whichever name you would like for that student, and then you will click Update Monitor. So you've updated your monitors, but one of the students that you were assigned to in the cohort moved. No notice, you just found out the day after you got your cohort that they moved. How do you replace the student? The student must be shown to be inactive and or ineligible before a placement can be requested. So you will have either needed to impulse, shown them as moved, shown them as they've been inactive, they've graduated, whatever has happened, you will need to show that impulse. Once that is shown and that status is confirmed, a checkbox to request a replacement will be available, and it will show up to the left of the student's name. Once a student in the cohort is replaced, the LEA administrator must then assign an LEA monitor to that specific student, the replacement student, before the details pencil will appear. So if you replace a student, the pencil will disappear until you make sure that everybody has an LEA monitor assigned. Again, if the areas showing for a student in the cohort do not match what the LEA expects, for example, initial evaluation versus reevaluation, or the student is an out-of-state transfer, please contact me, laura.dunn@tn.gov, for assistance before beginning the review and upload process. And I say before beginning the review and upload process because what happens, sometimes is I get a call from an IDA director, the LEA monitor has gone through, they've uploaded everything, everything is in there, and they've realized that it's wrong, that the student is not showing correctly, or the student has moved in from out of state, which will not pull correctly. The only way to correct that situation is to replace the student. When you replace the student, it wipes out everything that's already been done. So I would go through that list before you start the review process and make sure that it's showing as it should, that there are no out-of-state transfers, that no one is moved, that nothing has happened. Again, this is showing replacing a student. There will be simply a check mark here. You will check that box, and then you will request replacement, and it will occur. It will then ask you why. Why are you requesting replacement? This is where you will put they've dropped out, they've moved, whatever the reason is, and then you will submit your request. Again, once the student is replaced, the administrator must assign the LEA monitor. If the process does not replace the student immediately, or there is a replacement due to unusual circumstances. So, for example, if you request a replacement and it does not occur within 5 or 10 minutes, do not wait. Call me immediately, because there may be a glitch in the platform and I will need to work with it and do some troubleshooting to get that student, excuse me, replaced. Also, there are times when things happen, very unusual circumstances. If you've been in IDEA and worked with special ed students for more than an hour, you know that strange things just always happen. There's always unusual circumstances. If you are faced with that, and you're not sure how to proceed, you're not sure do we need to replace the student? Do we need to just go with what we have? I'm just not sure. Contact me and let's talk through it, and we can make a decision together. Indicator responses. So you've assigned your LEA monitor, and that person will go in. They will upload all the required documents for each section. The LEA monitor will respond to each indicator based on the information in each required document. If the response is yes, meaning the document is compliant, it's there, it's signed, it's marked appropriately, all of those things, then no additional comments are required. If the response is no, non-compliant, the LEA will be required to add a comment. And that is the comment that will come to us as the SDA review, and that gives us an idea of, yes, we understand it is non-compliant. We're aware. You don't have to make it very wordy. You don't have to write paragraphs. You can write a simple sentence like no 10-day notice. Did not get parent signature, something like that. And it can be very, very short, but what it will do is also on your report, it will show up. So it will remind you what comments you made, why you marked that indicator no. There is another section for internal comments, and it is labeled very clearly on the platform, SEA comments or internal comments. Internal comments are viewable only to you. So if you need to send a message to the monitor and, please recheck this or something like that, those internal comments stay within your LEA. So required documents. This is what the platform will look like. There will be a whole list of required documents. Some of them, for example, previous IEP, we only need the first page. The current IEP, it will be either the annual or an addendum. We don't need both. Homebound, only if it's applicable. Progress report, we're looking for the most recent. So things like that. There is a section for other documentation. So if there is just additional documentation that you feel like needs to be part of the record, that is where you will upload it. For each document, you will have a choice to either upload a document straight from the computer or link a document. And what will occur is when you click on that pencil to link the document, it will bring up the entire list of documents for that student from Pulse. And so just make sure that the one you are linking is the one that you would like. So make sure that the one that you are linking is the one that's signed, it's the most current, it's dated correctly, and then you will just simply link it. If, for example, you link an invitation and then you realize, whoops, that was actually the prior written notice. I didn't mean to do that. There is an area, a little trash can icon, and you can simply delete that document and start again. Once you've uploaded all your documents, then you will click on each indicator and it will require, this is where we get into the yes or no response. And this is an example of the invitation. It just says the most recent meeting invitation includes the purpose or all reasons for a meeting, must be listed a check, time and location of the meeting, and who will be in attendance. Documentation that the most recent meeting invitation was sent to the parents at least 10 calendar days prior to the meeting day. You will look at the invitation that you have just uploaded and you will check, are all reasons listed, all purposes listed, the time and location of the meeting are there, the date of the meeting, and then it was sent 10 days prior to the meeting day. If all that is there, then you will respond, yes, it is compliant. You'll simply click the little radio button, yes, and it will move you to the next one. If it is not, for example, not all the purposes are checked, or it's missing a 10-day notice, you will click no, it is not compliant. We're aware. And this is where you will make your comment of no 10-day notice, all purposes weren't checked, whatever the reason is that you are marking it non-compliant. This is where at the bottom below the official comments, there is a place for internal comments. They can be made at the monitor level, the administrator level, but they are only viewable by your district or your LEA internally. I can't see them. So if you put something in there and you want me to be aware of it, you need to move it into your official comments. So the LEA monitor has finished. They've uploaded all their documents. They've uploaded all their responses, or they put in all their responses, and now they have submitted it to you. So it comes to the second level of review, which is the LEA administrator. You must review all provided required documents for each section. So you will need to look at each document uploaded by your LEA monitor. This is the time you find out, whoops, they missed. They thought they had uploaded the invitation and they actually uploaded the prior written notice. Whoops, they uploaded that blank eligibility form. Whoops, they uploaded the wrong IEP. It's for last year, not this year. That is the time you catch those errors, and they're very easy to correct at this time. But once you submit it, it cannot be corrected. So once you review all provided required documents, you will then respond to each indicator based on the information in each required document and the LEA monitor response. The LEA administrator must respond either agree or disagree to the LEA monitor response. So for example, one of the response criteria, no more than a calendar year has passed since reviewing and revising is appropriate, the most recent IEP. You look at the IEP that's in there, you'll look at the first page of the previous IEP, If there is at least a year between those two dates, you're good. And the LEA monitor has said, yes, it's there. You look and you say it's yes, it's there. You simply will click the radio button for agree, and that will take you to the next one. This one, no more than 1 calendar year has passed. Your monitor has said, nope, we did not give a 10-day notice. 10-day waiver was not found. You, as the IDA director, you've looked at that invitation and they're right. There was no 10-day notice. You will agree because you are agreeing with their response. So what happens if you don't agree? What happens if you look at that invitation and there was 10 days, it's on there. The dates are on there. You've done the math and it's 10 days. You have a couple of choices. If the administrator disagrees with the LEA monitor response, the student can be returned to the LEA monitor for revision, meaning you can return it to the monitor and they can change their answer, or they can re-upload documentation. They can re-review documentation and change multiple answers. Once you return it to them, they can do all the corrections they need to before resubmitting it to you. If it is simply one thing, they marked yes, it was there, and you look and you say that 10-day notice was not there, it's a no. You can actually change their response to no and put in your comment, and then you'll agree. If you disagree, you will then need to return it to the monitor. So if you put disagree down with all of them, it doesn't change their response. So the disagree is to be used when you're returning it to them, so they know that what needs to be re-reviewed and what needs to be re-looked at for responses. So like I said, if it's quite a few, if they have quite a few errors and you need them to go back through, putting disagree will definitely assist with that process for them to review. However, if it's maybe one that they've missed, something small, I would just change their response and then move on. Again, you can change the LEA monitor response. Rather than marking disagree, you'll just change it and agree, and then that will allow you to submit. If you decide, I need to return this to my monitor, they have some work to do, I need them to reload documentation, I need to relook at the documentation, I need them to look at the protocol, all you would simply do is there will be a box that says return. You will put a check there and you will submit it. That returns access to the LEA monitor. Once you do that, it gives control to the monitor, and you as the administrator no longer have control. They will then fix what needs to be fixed and resubmit it, and then that gives you back control. So everything has been done, everything's been looked at, all responses have been made. How do you submit the cohort? So during the initial review phase, once the cohort is released, the LEA will have 10 business days to complete the review of files, to upload their documents, and to respond to all the indicators and submit it to the SEA. Review and upload are based on current documents at the time of the cohort release during the initial review phase. As I have said, please, please, please do not try to reconvene meetings and fix things before submitting. What we see is when that is done, a lot of times there are it's a snowball effect. It causes other errors to be made because you're trying to do it quickly. And you're going to end up having to do corrective actions. So it would be better just to admit it. Yeah, we do it. And so then when you have to reconvene a meeting for those corrective action phase, you aren't calling in a parent over and over and over again saying, we need to correct, we need to correct, we need to correct. This is just, if you see it and it's an error, own it. In the long run, it really does help because you are aware, as a director, you are aware of what trends are in your district, what teachers are struggling, where they're struggling, and moving forward, what do you need to train on? What kind of professional development do we need to have? And also, I do encourage you, even when this process should not be a one and done. It should not be, gosh, in the fall of every year, we get this cohort and boom, we're going to get it done. And then we just forget about it the rest of the year. I encourage you to use those protocols each year to review internally your files, to have teachers review. And that gives you an idea throughout the year, how are we doing in respect to compliance of IEPs. One other quick thing, extensions are available. You will need to, if you need an extension for the initial review process, when your cohort is open within those 10 days, you will need to message me through the actual platform. It gives you a space to request an extension. Once it has been reviewed and we are now in the corrective action phase, or you and the LEA is in the corrective action phase, if you need an extension on your corrective actions, which is 20 days rather than 10 days, 20 business days rather than 10 business days, you will just need to simply email me. You as the LEA administrator must submit the cohort to the SEA as a group. Individual students cannot be submitted. If you have 5 done and you're waiting on 5 others from teachers, you can't just submit 5. You will have to review, you'll have to wait until you have all 10 ready to submit. And a lot of times that's where we see an extension. You have one teacher that, was out sick for a couple of days and you're still waiting for that documentation and you need an extra day. Just message me and we can work it out. But, if you call me and say, but Laura, I have 9, I'm just waiting on this one, you have to wait until all 10 are complete to submit. Once the cohort is submitted to the SEA for review, no changes can be made. So make sure you're checking and double checking those documents and the responses before you actually submit to our level of review. When you go to submit the cohort, you will simply check the box that you want to submit, and it will not let you submit unless you have every single student the submit box checked. Even if you click on submit with only 3 checked, it will not submit, so don't panic. But once it is submitted, you will simply click submit, and it will then change the status to director in process, which means it has been submitted to me. I'm sorry. And then once submit in the right corner is clicked, no changes can then be made. You will then get a confirmation box. If there are errors, it will show errors here, and it will show which student there are errors for, and you'll need to go back and check that. A lot of times maybe one response was missed or skipped. Most of the time, if it says 0, then you are ready to submit, and you'll just click submit. If there are errors showing, it will not allow you to submit. Once it is submitted, the status will be changed to submitted to SEA, and you are complete. Real quickly, IEP Monitoring Results Report. Once all of our reviews at our level are done, you will receive a notification that the report is being released. You will go into Pulse. You will click on Compliance Monitoring Report, and that will bring up a fairly new section of the platform. It was new last year, where it is all internal and the signature is electronic. So you will click on the receipt and signature box. You will click to add your signature. You will simply add your signature and save. And that is automatically your receipt or your acknowledgement of the report. You will also click the box that says confirm receipt of the report, and then you will submit the receipt. It is all stored internally. You won't need to upload it anywhere else. That is taken care of. And then you will simply click on the PDF to access your report, which looks like this. It will give you dates that your training must be uploaded and your corrective actions must be uploaded. And in this area, it is organized by indicator or item number. You will have 20 business days to do corrections. Corrective actions. Once you've signed and looked at your report, you will then go first, a new feature for the corrective actions page. In the last year, we had when students moved, for example, while our level was reviewing, a student moved, it would not show the student as exited, and it made it very difficult to complete corrective actions. That has been corrected. And so now the platform contains a new feature that once you put into Pulse that a student has moved, or if they've graduated, whatever has happened and made ineligible, it will automatically show exited on your corrective action page. During the corrective action review, you'll have 20 business days to complete the corrective action and upload the corrected documents. You are required to provide training during this corrective action period. I would suggest that you do your training before your folks start their corrective actions so that they know what corrections are needed and how it needs to be corrected. If you need extensions, you will just simply contact me. A couple of process changes. In the past, LEA administrators, in most cases, were the only ones who could access the corrective action page. They were the only ones who could upload. They were the only ones who could provide those corrections and mark that it was complete. That has changed. The platform will now allow LEA monitors to do the corrective actions. You will then need to review, but it will allow your monitors to do the corrections. The monitor needs to show in permission group 15 or 16. They need to be assigned to the student in the cohort, and they need to be showing as an LEA monitor in the user compliance role. And then if you move down, again, into the user roles, you move down, there's a heading that is marked advanced access, and they need to have the box checked that says they can access compliance monitoring CAP report process. If you get to that point and you're not sure that your folks have what they need and they're having trouble getting in, please contact me and we can walk through it together. It will allow them to link their corrective actions. They'll be able to view their own students and findings assigned to those students during the initial review phase. The LEA administrator is still responsible for reviewing all uploaded or linked documents. So how do you access those corrective actions? At the top, you have receipt and signature. That's where you signed. Corrective actions. So you will simply click on the middle menu choice, and it will bring up a page that looks something like this. The response status is incomplete because there are students still with outstanding corrective actions. You will simply click on the expand arrow and you will see the details for each student. So in this case, the prior report, it was listed by item. So it will be like a district-wide report. It will help you see trends district-wide. This is specific to students. Once you click the arrow, it will give you specific details. The monitor or yourself, whoever will be in charge of providing those corrective actions. Again, you'll have the choice to upload the corrected documents or link the corrected documents. And then you will simply click edit. And you will see two boxes, evidence attached, response is complete. If it is something that requires a new IEP, a new document, a copy of the signed document, that is evidence attached. If it is something that it is not correctable at the student level, a prior written notice, an invitation, you will simply check response is complete. Once you do that, then that will change the status to complete. You'll save that and it will change the status to complete and it will be green. Once all of the statuses have been changed to completed, you as the administrator will review. You will click submit. It will change your overall response status to submitted. And then that will send it again to our level. And we will begin our review. And it is that point that we can make the determination to close the monitoring. A couple of resources. We will have office hours, as Geneva mentioned earlier. Ours will be on Mondays from 11 to 12. The actual start date of office hours will be determined once the notifications have been sent out for waive assignments. As I said, the FY25 IEP Monitoring Protocol version 1 is available. Version 2 will be released on or before October 16th. That is the day that the state board rule changes and goes into effect. Our contacts, here's mine. I am the IDE Compliance Manager. I function as the SEA Administrator. Stan and Latrice are my monitors. Stan is middle, Latrice is west. As you notice, we do have a vacancy at this point in East for the IEP monitoring specialist. Once we have someone to fill that role, we will update all those in the East. At this time, if you are in the East and you have questions, please feel free to contact me. Fraud, waste, and abuse. If you feel that there has been fraud, waste, or abuse, please contact the comptroller. And lastly, please use your phone to access the QR code and fill out an evaluation. It has been a pleasure. I'm looking forward to getting started on this year's IEP monitoring process and getting back to conversations with directors and troubleshooting and problem solving. It's very exciting this time of year for me. So we will have those notifications out soon. If you have any questions or need clarification in the meantime, please feel free to reach out to me at any time. Thank you very much.
Laura, thank you so much for taking the last 60 minutes of your time to go through this with us. Laura will leave the evaluation up on her screen for a little while longer for those of you who want to take a photo really quickly and have that link over to our quick little survey. For those of you that joined for this, just want to say on behalf of the team, thank you. Melissa will be joining us at the half hour, so in about 6 minutes, to go over ePlan 101 for program director. She's also going to discuss some hot topics and other updates. We hope you'll stick around, but also understand if you have other things on your calendar today. I think the most common question is, when will we receive these PowerPoints? And The goal is to splice these recordings up and get them out hopefully by end of week, if not by Monday of next week. And to also release the PowerPoints by this Friday at the latest. When that happens, we will send a thank you for attending email to all registrants. You will have links to all of the presentations that are loaded. And if we aren't able to upload the recordings by then, we will definitely include where the placeholder will be and an ETA on when those will be available.